In an explosive, ru-venge-filled episode of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars, Alyssa Edwards comes back from the grave, like the Walking Dead, to bite Phi Phi O'Hara's face off. Now, poor Phi Phi is apparently hurting from her experience on the show, and in an interview says RuPaul thinks of the queens as mere pawns, and that her Emmy Award speech is a big fat lie.
Today, RuPaul's Drag Race Season 6 fan favorite, Vivacious, who was there for the comedy challenge that sent Phi Phi packing, joins us from our dressing room in New York City to fill up our mugs with hot tea and to explain how the judges' comments affect how people think about what they saw.
Listen as we talk about the awesome hashtags created by Vivacious, like hashtag lies, Liza Minnelli lies, hashtag shady apes, hashtag huntykins, hashtag Bianca Bucks, and why Drag Race isn't shoving hashtags down our throat anymore.
Plus, the real meaning behind Go Back to Party City.
And Monet Exchange's beautiful video where she gets into drag in the middle of Times Square is winning the internet. I'm Fausto Fernos.
I'm Mark Fillion.
And this is Feast of Fun. The time has come for you to show how fierce and fabulous you are, hunty.
Check out our t-shirts inspired by many great moments in drag in our fashion boutique, feastoffun.com/store.
Hello, darling. How are you?
Mother!
You're absolutely correct. Let's try that again. No. The reason why I said hello, darling, how are you is because I was trying to find out how does the connection sound. Remember, that's always our first thing.
Yes, it sounds
How's
fantastic. But sometimes we like to surprise you.
Then hang up and call back.
Okay, click. Calling back now. Ring, 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 ring.
Bitch, you better put some real good voice effects over that shit to make it work. You can't fool Latrice. You can't fool this Latrice Royale, honey.
Mother, I got the sound, the fan. I have it right here in my hand.
Ready?
Ready?
1, 2, 3, go.
Mother.
Okay, let's try it again. I'm using my fan too.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Mother has arrived.
Yes.
Well, actually, she's just on the phone, but that's good enough for us.
How you doing, Vivacious?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very, very much. I am over here. I'm being actually a slave right now. I'm hanging out with Harriet Tubman.
Oh, dear.
She's helping me pick costumes for work tonight.
Oh.
Do people get a little disappointed when you look glamorous and sultry, and they want you in that, like, you know, Ornacia two-top, and it's like, look, I have other
Sweetie,
looks, you know?
It's like, sweetie, even last night when I went to work, they were like, where's Ornacia? I'm like, bitch, your pussy can't afford her, so why you asking?
So it costs extra to have Ornacia show up at a gig?
Honey, Ornacia is like, honey, I tell people this all the time. I said, they booked me for $1,500. They booked that bitch for $3,500.
Oh, my God, really? Your styrofoam head that lights up with eyes is more expensive than a human being.
She's a high-class pussy, horse, slut, Christian mingle meets grinder type of a lady, honey.
Well, one thing you can always argue is that Ornacia always gets a good edit on any TV show she's on.
She gives good head, too. I'm convinced and she's doing the editor. I'm convinced that when I sleep at night, she goes out and she is playing with the people from Drag Race. Because I'm gonna tell you why I say that. I'm the only person who has made an appearance on every season since my season of Drag Race.
Oh, really?
In one form or another, yeah. It's either my face or it's Ornacia showing up in a meme, a clip, a GIF made by fans.
Well, you certainly were on this season of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars. You were in the audience watching the comedy routine.
Yes.
And what everybody says is the most explosive episode ever of RuPaul's Drag Race, but they say that every single episode. But in this case, it is true.
I believe that this RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars has blown every single Drag Race show out of the water in terms of how it's going. Everybody's on the tip of their seats. Everybody's salivating. I mean, this is the Olympics of drag. Mm-hmm. And it has proven its credibility and worth. And it could not have come at a more fitting time when RuPaul won an Emmy. Mm. And here we are with a salacious feast in front of us.
Well, couldn't you argue that it's really the gay games of drag, not the Olympics?
I would call it the Olympics of drag. The gay games of drag.
A big factor of why it's so the most explosive is because there's been a lot of discussion, especially coming from Phi Phi O'Hara in interviews, as Jeremy Carey, talking about that he feels that RuPaul has very little interest in getting to know the contestants and sees them as pawns in some larger scheme, and that he feels very manipulated by the producers. And you know, we sell this T-shirt on our website just kind of as a joke, but it's selling relatively well. I'm not an evil queen. I just got a bad edit. This is the title of today's show. Mm. And part of it is like, you know, what do you say to Phi Phi and her comments in Vulture magazine about the show?
Actually, I did also read that article. I think I read it early this week. My thing on that is this. It's a reality TV show. Expect things like that to happen. That's what you signed up for. Nene Leakes did not go on TV she didn't expect to come out as the most now likable person from that show. She knew that she was going to walk in and just try to be as affectatious as she possibly could. But then it turned out to her benefits where she's now the most highest paid queen from that show. You know, you can walk into a situation, but you can also opt to direct the focus of your energy for the show. And it's up to you to remember that you're in a matrix. So if you don't want the matrix to control you, you need to be cognizantly awake at all times to make sure that you don't become a victim of the matrix, but you're the one who's driving the matrix.
RuPaul likes to talk about the Matrix a lot. She says we're all living in the Matrix all the time.
It is a matrix, and a lot of people aren't awake inside the Matrix.
How do we get woke? How do we get woke inside the Matrix?
I don't know. I think you have to have a higher consciousness of yourself before or while you're. These are not the droids you're looking for. And if you can't realize that, instead of being stuck in the forefront, being played like a pawn piece, then you haven't awoken yourself. You know, it's like you have to remember this. The minute that they call you and say you made it to All Stars 2, once you are there and they have physically started filming, you cannot unhinge the horse and say, all right, we're going to stop the show because you're not giving us what you want, what we want. They can't take it back. They have to keep moving forward. So she forgot that she now has the ability to control the wheels in her destination. Even if they say to her, you need to say X, Y, and Z, you'll be like, no, I didn't come here to play those games. I'm here to walk off in a positive light. As they always say, if you give nothing negative, they can't spin you negative. The only thing they can spin you as is boring. There's nothing wrong with being boring.
Well, boring gets you off the show real fast, though, doesn't it?
Listen, Coco Montrese left first. She's still an all-star. Mm-hmm. You will not unshake that fact. For the fact that you made it to the show and you're there filming, as long as that first episode is being filmed, you are officially an all-star. It doesn't matter where you end up on the totem pole.
But you want more TV time. That's the whole point of getting on the game is to go all the way to the end.
Yes, you do. But Alyssa made a very poignant statement a few weeks ago. I hear a hissing sound.
It's my pet snake.
Okay. Hi, Hissa.
Let me feed it a mouse.
Oh, honey, that's very Diana from V, honey. I'm glad someone remembers the reference because a lot of people don't. Jane Balder.
You know when they relaunched that series a few years ago, they brought
I was
her,
watching at the tip of my seat.
They brought her back for a hot minute, and
they brought her back as mother,
and she still looked good. Some 30 years later,
she still looked gorgeous, as delicious as ever, and I was very pissed at.
Yeah, she was mother. That's right. She said mother has arrived, and then she swallowed a gerbil.
I want to defend people who usually are told to be quiet about the whole process, and that's the people who work on TV shows, the people who edit them, the people who have to pay their bills. RuPaul's Drag for whoever, for Phi Phi or anybody who's listening out there, RuPaul's Drag Race's goal is not to promote drag queens; it's to make a TV show that people want to watch. Now, if they happen to promote drag queens, that's a nice effect of the phenomenon of the show.
I think it's a byproduct of the show.
Yeah.
So there's a few things that RuPaul's Drag Race is supposed to do. RuPaul's Drag Race. Let's talk about, let's say, Jinx Monsoon season. RuPaul's Drag Race is also to help bring gay awareness to different cities and states that have no voice. So, for instance, when Jinx won her season, it put Seattle on the map, and the gays felt more emboldened to now become a part of a community and galvanize their strengths together. RuPaul's Drag Race is bigger than one queen complaining that they were edited improperly. Listen, I was told to hold my zipper in my hand and dangle it for 45 minutes because there were going to be cameras watching up and down to try to get a full HD shot, and they wanted to do it in slow motion. So there I am holding my zipper for that time frame. It's 3 years later.
You're talking about the entrance where you're struggling with the zipper, but they were actually asking you to struggle with it.
Right. Exactly. Am I bitter that from the perception of the crowd that people like, girl, your zipper don't work. A bitch got no working zipper. No. Look at the bigger picture. A fierce queen has granted you the possibility and the opportunity of standing on her platform to launch yourself into a bigger platform in the hopes that in the future you can be a better, stronger, and fiercer RuPaul than she is, even though that's impossible, but to then help use your platform to then perpetuate this idea and this concept of we are all strong people and we can use our star power to engage other people and make something bigger in a dynamic sense. I can't take that away from RuPaul. Thank you, RuPaul, for that opportunity. Even if they brought me on All Stars 3 and said, bitch, you're going home first, I'd be like, not a problem. Alyssa Edwards said, I don't have the full quote. It was an interview she said recently. She said, it's not about winning the drag race competition. She goes, it's about slaying the whole war. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you've lost the battle, but you win the war.
Right. You might not have won the competition, but you're here to slay the whole war. And it puts Alyssa in a position now where, think about this. When Alyssa left her season, she was the breakout for her season, but she's gone on to done bigger and better and fiercer things, and she's made a very strong name for herself. Alyssa was the 6th place runner-up. Coco left after her. So Alyssa still took this platform and ran with it and made something gigantic of it. So even to the winner of her season, yes, the winner won, but Alyssa's name is quite as large as the winner, if probably not larger. Alyssa's name is just as large as Violet Chachki's. There are people that are lining up when they hear Alyssa Edwards' name and be like, bitch, I'm showing up to that show. Who do I have to mug at the bank to get a bank transfer to go and give that girl all my coins? By the way, I'm a big House of Edwards fan. I'm a big Laganja fan, a Shangela fan, and Alyssa. Those are my girls. So, yes, I'm going to be pro them all the time, but they are good examples. I'm also pro Detox and pro Alaska and pro Roxy and pro Coco. So I don't look at it as a negative in that sense. The negative I will talk about, though, is dear millennials, dear fans that are watching the TV show, You do not have the right to threaten Phi Phi O'Hara. You do not have the right to tell her to die. You do not have the right to make evil comments hiding behind your keyboard. As Kelly Mantle would say, you have keyboard courage. But if she came to your face, you'd be like, oh my God, I loved you in your season. Don't be hateful online and kiss ass in public. But regardless of hateful online and kiss ass in public, take that vitriolic evilness you have out of you and stop. As Alaska said, Phi Phi is not the villain. You're the more evil person of what you're saying.
So technically, doesn't everybody get a bad edit when they're on reality television? Because basically the premise is that you're taking drag queens that in the outside world, they're usually working as a community together to put on a show. They're collaborating, they're cooperating. And here you're pitting them against each other. And in this series, they're actually sending each other home, even though technically, you know, the RuPaul and the judges get to choose which one of the queens they get to choose to go home. It's not like they can just send anybody home.
Well, here's the thing. In Phi Phi and Coco's defense, that's not me doing a bump, children. That's me taking Afro nasal spray. Mama's a little bit congested. There's no bumps up in here. In Phi Phi and Coco's defense, we all sat there in the audience, and I saw it. And afterwards, when we left, I went to a few friends. I said, not for nothing, I was really feeling Phi Phi and Coco's skit. We were cracking the fuck up. Coco went above and beyond. She's like, when she started cracking up those Doritos to beat her face, girl, we lost it. I'm like, that is some funny ass shit, because she could take the thing that they were trying to use against her and turn it into a stronger tool. Remember, All Stars 2 started and Coco walked in with a Dorito compact.
Oh yeah, it's her brand now.
It's her brand. They try to make a negative out of it. Like, girl, your face is so orange. Whatever. Honey, she used it to all her skills and she played it up. And she came and she told Phi Phi she's gonna beat her face. And Phi Phi with those chola nails and being pregnant, honey, we were cracking the hell up in that audience watching it. However, I must say, when you then have judges using words to tone down something that you've done quite great, as an audience watching, it changes your perception of what you think you saw.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, how so?
You can be, for instance, there was this queen who runs around New York City. I won't say her name. I don't even see her. And she keeps going, is my dress right? She's like, is my dress fierce? Is my dress fierce? Is my dress fierce? Is my dress fierce? So after saying it like 900 times for the night, the next person who overheard it, before she could come up to them and harass them and say, is my dress fierce? They would walk up to her and go, girl, I live for your dress, just to shut her the fuck up.
Yeah, that's
so what I'm saying.
Yeah. We had a friend that used to always pull out his dick when he was drunk and be like, do I have a nice dick? Come on, you can tell me. Do I have a nice dick? You can tell me. And so after a while, you just go up to him, hey, how's it going? How's that nice dick of yours? You don't have to pull it out. We all know it's nice.
Okay, well, I actually, listen, in the words of Sweet Pussy Pauline, inquiring minds want to know, and I have to know. Did he have a nice dick, though?
He had a nice dick. It was nice and thick.
Okay, could you please send him my name and number?
I sure will.
Girl, you're a famous celebrity. People adore Vivacious.
Mother is not joking.
I know you're not joking, but you were telling me, I don't want to put you on blast or anything, but you were telling me that like you tend to have a very romantic, slow burn when it comes to your romantic life. Yes, I do. I do, but I'm saying, honey, if the boy got pretty, listen, not many people have pretty trade. So when you meet a pretty trade, you go and you become a whisperer and you talk to it. He was an aggressive drinker. Let's just put it that way. He got kicked out of a lot of bars. Oh, poor baby. You know what? He's probably hiding the fact that he's probably half gay and can't deal with his issues. Well, it's like that show that's on after All Stars, Finding Prince Charming, which I gotta say is a train wreck of a show.
We'll get to that in a minute.
I'm not even here to talk about that. Like, my body cannot allow me to watch anything on Logo past Drag Race. Like
Your like
I'm
body
not
goes
jo-
shuts down.
I was like, my body is like, girl, exit stage left, right, and the trap door. That's just my body. I can't go against the grain of what my genetics are telling me.
Well, what did you think? You read the Vulture article that Phi Phi talked about how she was edited in this season of RuPaul's Drag Race? Because there was that, everybody, the whole mirror scene at the end of that one episode where she talked about why she got rid of Alyssa. She's saying that was a series of questions that the producers asked her, that they strung it all together to make it seem as though she had this one big long rant against Alyssa, when in reality, if you take all those things separately.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, even if they asked her a whole bunch of questions, it is still within your brain cells to, it's kind of like our Miss America pageant. You can either you can either give a stupid answer, or you could come up with an answer that can best suit the question. You have to be a spin doctor and you have to think on your feet. The question is, do you want to go down in flames, or do you want to walk off with your head held high? Remember, Phi Phi started the season and said, can you do both? Well, you know what? As Alyssa, now, ladies and gentlemen, I do apologize that I'm using other people's quotes, but these quotes do come in very handy. And they are there in life to serve as things to help you move forward. As Alyssa Edwards would say, if you're going to be a bitch, be an unapologetic bitch. Own it. You can't push yourself out there and slay somebody with words and facial shade, and then when they then turn around to give you back the same, you pretend as though you're the victim. So when it comes to that whole thing, my whole thing on that is this. Even if they told you to ask you all those questions, she forgot that she was in the Matrix, and she should have Neo herself from the Matrix and be like, these are bullets you're sending in front of me. I'm going to drop them to the floor, in terms of them asking her to do that stuff. She could have looked them dead in the camera and go, Alyssa, that's how the game is played in the discussion. She made that 2-minute rant. That's not editing. That was called talking without a breath in between. Everyone saw it. I mean, you can edit things together, but I don't think those editors are that cuntly fierce that they can take 9 other sections and splice them together so intricately well. Because as you were watching that section, didn't it remind you of the remember when she did a spiel like that against Willem in her season? The energy felt the same. And I was like, I had flashbacks, and I turned to my audience and I said, doesn't that energy remind you of the energy that she was using when she was coming for Willem? And everybody's like, oh my God, that is the same energy. Well,
it seems like these contestants get on your nerves too. I mean, you're like working close by them, and they're sort of like, putting a different type of work than you are. And you may see it as inferior, and the judges praise them, and it can really mess with your head.
Sweetie, guess what? Get over it and get over yourself. You have one job to do every morning. Your mother pushed you out of your vagina by yourself. You can only worry about you. It seems as though, it looks as though, or it feels with the impression that she spends too much time worrying about what the other girls are doing. Just worry about Phi Phi's world. All Phi Phi needs to do is come with her best foot forward in terms of looks, presentation, execution, and don't worry about all the external. Listen, Roxy has been on the top, she's been on the bottom, but you don't see Roxy sitting there trying to get all up in other people's business. Roxy's doing Roxy. Alaska's doing Alaska. Alyssa did Alyssa. When Alyssa got eliminated, Alyssa didn't look like she was bitter. She just took it with a grain of salt and said it was nice being an alternate fifth place runner-up. There is nothing, and then, like, as somebody pointed out last night, they were like, when Phi Phi walked out the room and she picked up the RuPaul statue and said, maybe I could go sell this and get $10,000.
She doesn't get to take that home. She doesn't get to keep that statue.
Let's just clarify one thing right now. The drag queens on Drag Race don't keep the statue. the drag queens on Cooking with Drag Queens don't get to keep the medal, and the drag queens on Hey Queen don't get to keep the trophy. Nobody gets to keep anything.
But they get to keep all the STDs.
It's like so this is the on Oprah. This is the on Oprah prize. You know, Oprah's like, you get a pussy, you get a pussy, you get a pussy. Everybody gets a pussy.
Nobody gets a pussy.
Nobody gets a pussy.
None of us can afford this. It's like Mark and I started trying to give the drag queens, these medals cost money, and then we were just like, and some of them were like, I said, what did you do with the medal? And they're like, it's in a drawer somewhere, and I'm like, well, shit, why am I spending all this money to get something that's going to sit in a drawer somewhere, And it's like,
it was a hassle to even go get it made too.
Well, you know what? Now that I know that no one gets that RuPaul doll, I'm not going to make it an effort between this paycheck and the next one by the end of the week and go and buy one from her.
Yeah.
Because I love those things. I want one. And I've actually envied every single girl that I've seen touch one. It's like, I don't know what RuPaul means for other people, but she means a lot to me. And here's the truth about anything. RuPaul could walk outside and kill a queen. I will be the one looking the judge in the face, painted my skin white like a pretty white woman going, RuPaul did not hit that girl, Your Honor.
You'd help her hide the body.
She would never hit Harlow, darling. Not Harlow. RuPaul would never touch Harlow. RuPaul is so above. Those are the lines from Queen, by the way.
I don't know who killed Lady Bunny, but I tell you, it wasn't RuPaul.
It wasn't RuPaul. I would be that lady. Now, if RuPaul killed Lady Bunny, we have a problem.
Yeah, that'd be
because
start a riot.
Because those two ladies, those are my bitches.
And Bianca Del Rio.
They better find No, for me it's Lady Bunny and RuPaul. Like those are Lady Bunny and RuPaul completely stole my heart.
Yeah,
those are my two ladies. I will take a bullet for either one of them.
Be careful what you put out there, Vivacious.
Well, guess what, girl? It's a good thing I wear a Wonder Woman outfit every fucking week when I go to work with bracelets. I do. So, come what may, hey, I will listen. Those are my girls.
I gotta tell you, it's like sometimes we're interviewing these girls and we're doing confessionals for them, and we're doing Cooking with Drag Queens. All you got to do is emote. All you got to do is talk. If they're asking you to talk about something and it doesn't feel like it goes against your brand, or for whatever reason you don't want to talk about it, still try to talk about it to some regard. I think Phi Phi's, if there was any mistake to be made, was that when she had an opportunity to be on camera and talk with the other queens about the elimination, she chose not to, and I thought that was a huge mistake.
She chose not to. It's like, no. I'm going to give a little bit of sage advice. I'm like, Phi Phi, I know that you say you're not going to the reunion, but the thing is this. You can still use the interview leading up to the reunion on the red carpet to validate yourself. You can use your presence at the red carpet to help fix that if someone interviews you. You can take every single interview right now until then, to do that.
I invited her to come on the podcast and I haven't heard back from her,
do I, it's like Phi Phi, you spent 365 days building this beautiful new way of having people re-see you. You've been recreating yourself. And then this show then took it and literally trounced that to the side. Mama, don't stop. You're a very creative girl. You will find something again that will build you up. You've always proven, even if they take you down, somehow you always find a way to come back up. So if you feel that the show besmirched you, take it as a grain of salt. Those who love you will bolster you and hold you up. Those who want to hate you, let them hate. As RuPaul says, and this is why I said this is a day when I keep throwing quotes. What other people think of you is none of your business.
Especially the ones that don't buy your merchandise.
And as RuPaul says in Sissy That Walk, if they ain't paying your bills, pay them bitches no mind. This is a day of quotes.
Sure. And Phi Phi released a single as Jeremy Carey. His YouTube channel's Jeremy Carey.
I think she has a full album. No, I have not listened to any of it at all.
She basically it's play and it's her and a model sort of painting each other in a very erotic fashion in a very stark white industrial loft space.
And the trick's in a jockstrap, so you get to see his butt.
And, I always tell the drag queens, it's like, drag is just one of your tools. I think actually for Jeremy, he may be in a place of pain right now, but actually I think it's a really good place to be because it opens up the ability to say, you know what? I don't have to be in drag all the time. I can do other things.
It's like Jeremy, let's explore Jeremy. Listen, I didn't make it to the top of my season, but I'm still moving forward. Right now, I am #pioneering drag in the heights. What does that mean? It means I've used my platform, my name, walked up to club owners and businesses up here that knows nothing about Drag Race and have introduced them to Drag Race and let them know this is the amount of business this can bring your space if you allow me to be in here. And trust me, the owners on Broadway, they want the gays inside their space to come and eat, but they don't want the gays to congregate.
Oh, you feel like they're a little threatened by that?
No, they don't want to be branded as their gay people in their space, so they don't want them in there.
But you have a regular gig on Thursday nights. You work all weekend long.
If we're not good to congregate in your space, then we shouldn't be spending any money in your space. So I found 3 places in Washington Heights, in Hamilton Heights, but the overall area is still called Harlem. In Hamilton Heights, that has given us the ability, straight owners, that have said, we love you gays and we want you in our building. Please stay. And so we've been doing 14 months on a Sunday at Hogshead Tavern. We just started Farafina at an African-French restaurant. I want you to let that sink in. African-French restaurant that's owned by an African and a French person. And they're saying, I want all your LGBT people in our space. And right now they're actually working to fix their basement and turn it into a lounge club so that they can give the LGBT a regular Friday night in their space, in their basement, where the gays come through the site. It has a separate entrance because uptown there are no clubs at all. So they're giving us, their restaurant has a club downstairs and they're saying, we want you to take our club and we're going to fix it and turn it into a club for you. And now the gays will have somewhere in the neighborhood to go to, and they don't have to go 45 minutes downtown to go downtown to Hell's Kitchen and Chelsea to party.
Oh.
On the RuPaul's Drag Race subreddit, one of the top threads today is a photo of you sitting in the audience at the All-Stars Comedy Showcase, and the headline reads, "One queen that didn't get the attention she deserved during the last episode." And people are saying Vivacious had the best confessionals. Ornacia was robbed. I'm glad I'm not the only one who wants to see more of Vivacious. I love Vivacious so much. She's one of my favorite queens.
To those Reddit people, I deeply thank you and I appreciate it. And, hopefully one day RuPaul, Theron, or Miss Salangong will turn around, or Stephen Korff will turn around and be like, hey, girl, we got our eyes on you. Why don't you come back? I was like, by the way, RuPaul, if you see my audition tape for season 10, don't gag. There is more to show. It's like, first of all, I need a stronger platform because I have a vision of what I want to do for the LGBT community in general. This isn't just drag showing up to a place to do drag. Mother has real plans. And I want to, by having a stronger platform, it'll allow me to get that done. So if y'all see my tape next season, don't freak out. It just means I'm trying to come back. Don't tell me to wait for All Stars 3. You might see me for season 10. I'm sending in a tape. So when that audition comes out next year for all you other young girls that are trying to get up in the gig, don't scream if I walk through the door in a box with a whole bunch of Ornacias and plop out on the floor like Shangela did and snap her fan and be like, Mother, is back.
Flap.
I'm just saying.
A lot of people don't
Yes.
realize that you actually know the Asian martial arts tradition of fan fighting, like where you can kill somebody with a fan.
Yes. I used to fight with fans against swords when I studied martial arts 900 years ago. So that's my background in terms of messing with fans. And I'm the only person who can actually fan to music, like full on out. You know what? Tonight, when I do my ending number, I'm going to record a section of me fanning. I always close out my show with Last Dance. And so when I close out my show, I actually walk around the whole bar and I hug everyone for coming and tell them thank you. And then after I hug every single person in the bar, then I start lip syncing. And then I match the beat with the music. And you're going to realize that, no, I don't use the fan to just clack. It's like clack, 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 clack. So I match the beat. And it's like, and many people have tried, but they don't know how to do it quite well. Some of them are off beat, whatever.
Well, so you use the fans as percussion, like a drummer would play along to music.
Yes. The only thing that I wish is that when I crack it, that it was loud enough to translate into a microphone, because that is a fierce sound to hear. To some people, it sounds like bullets going off.
Oh,
dang.
Shit.
Yeah,
Watch out, Vivacious is in the house. The notorious Vi.
It's like mother is packing, honey, and she's packing a fan.
People say that you had the best confessionals, you had the best sound bites, and are wondering,
in my interview, I told RuPaul, I said, in my interview leading up to the show, I said, if you keep me on the show, I will give you so many hashtags, your library will never run out. Unfortunately, by them sending me home early, they have deprived themselves of some good-ass hashtags. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't make up hashtags in my head and then use them at a future date. They just happen organically as the moments are happening. So I don't have a pre-recorded set of hashtags. They just come out of my head as I'm talking. So I don't need anybody to think, oh, girl, she made that up 5 years ago and now she's just waiting to release them. I was like, no, bitch. I do things in a moment. I don't believe in scripted in scripted things. I know some people plan long and hard to get something done and then execute it. I like impromptu in the moment. So if I was still on there, honey, I would have been coming out with some hashtags that they would have been like, Alicia, where'd you get that from, girl? I'm like, girl, I got that from the Book of Shadows. Where's that book coming from? I'm like, from Methuselah's twin sister. They were like, who? I'm like, girl, her twin sister. So yeah, they would have gotten a chance to.
What is it?
Shanita. So Shanita is Shanita and Shawana are twins. They are Arnisha's older sisters, and they are 8 years older than Ornisha. So it's Shanita borrow your wig and Shawana borrow your wig.
And not give it back.
Right. These girls don't give shit back, honey. Shawana borrow your car and Shanita borrow your car.
Bro, you got to get to Chicago and be on Cooking with Drag Queens. It's like we're running out of money. Girl, you're running out. Oh, you mean to get me here? No. You know what? I've been trying to figure out how to get out to Chicago in terms of one of these bookings, because if I do, then I'll be like, honey, I'm going to go cook with two fierce queens. And go get it done. We have an upcoming episode of Cooking with Drag Queens with Cynthia Lee Fontaine, where we're making a Puerto Rican lasagna.
Oh, I love Cynthia Lee Fontaine. She is such a beautiful human being inside and out. She is the real legit deal.
Well, she almost died. Like a lot of people don't realize that had she stayed an extra week on RuPaul's Drag Race, she would have probably dropped dead right there. She would have lip synced for her life and lost.
She would have done a death drop and really died.
Yeah.
Wow. Was it really that severe?
It was severe.
It was liver cancer.
She was hospitalized just weeks after her elimination.
I think
the next week.
It was like she was hospitalized a week after she got out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness!
So RuPaul really saved her life by sending her home.
And I think that's the thing that we can all learn from this situation is that when someone says no, when someone gives you a bad edit, puts you in an unfavorable situation, they might actually be doing you a favor.
Right. One of the quotes that Kelly Mantle said to me when she got eliminated, we came home, and let me tell you something. Kelly Mantle is my strongest rock. If it wasn't for Kelly Mantle, I don't think that I could have handled the ability, the mental situation of being sent home second or first.
Oh, because she went home before you, right?
She went home before I did. I think I probably would have jumped off a bridge or something. I'd have been the first girl that went, girl, she did a swan dive, honey. But
do you think about that? Who's going to be the first one to go like that?
So Kelly Mantle said her grandmother said to her, God's rejection is God's, another person's rejection is God's protection.
She got that from this show. It's man's rejection is God's protection. Just to be clear, she got that from me.
Oh, maybe. We've been saying that for about 12 years on this podcast. Yeah.
She told me that her grandmother has been using that phrase for years, and she told me that's where she got it from. Mm-hmm. So maybe it was reinforced by y'all as well. Show me the receipts, honey.
Bianca Bucks.
Show me those receipts.
Where did Bianca Bucks come from? RuPaul's Drag Race or Vivacious on this podcast?
It came from Vivacious.
Yes, ma'am. And people are like, Bianca Bucks. I'm like, Bianca didn't win until the end of her season. Why would they say Bianca Bucks on Drag Race?
It's all Vivacious,
it came from
baby.
me it came from me. I said Bianca Bucks. And
That's right.
Cointadas came from Jasmine Masters.
Oh yeah. no tea, no shade, no pink lemonade. That's Jasmine.
No tea, no shade is Coco. No pink lemonade is what Jasmine added to the end of that.
Well, everybody says no tea, no shade.
Well, but
people always
Coco popularized it.
Popularized it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Coco popularized it because Coco was saying it with a full, deep Southern accent at the time. She's like, no tea, no shade. And we were like, yes, bitch, she went in there. So it brought it back into Coco brought no tea, no shade back into relevance.
Well, and the shade of it all, that came from Latrice Royale.
Latrice Royale, including good grief, girl, get a good God, girl, get a grip.
Good.
The 5Gs.
We were talking to an English drag queen, and she was saying like the English, like their speech that they use over there has all now become RuPaulism speech, so they don't have their own drag language anymore.
I met a guy last week who came to my Sunday show, and his whole language is Drag Race. And I think it's fiercely beautiful that you meet so many people who are so keyed into the show. And now here's the key. The show has so many things going on for it that if you have a quick wit and you become so keyed into the show, you can actually sit in a conversation and throw one-liners back at people and destroy them with just all the quips and wits from Drag Race. And like when you meet people like that, you're like, bitch, that's not the queen you want in the audience trying to heckle you, because she will eat you alive with every single Drag Race phrase from season 1 till season 8 and All Stars 2. And you're just sitting there as a comedian going, this bitch got me 5 ways backwards till Monday. I was gagging at her. She was like, ding, 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 ding. I'm like, girl, you must have watched every episode 900 times. I'm not mad at you. I'm just pissed that I didn't do it with you.
Didn't you come up with hashtags Shady Apes?
Yes, I did. When they were trying to throw, when they tried to throw me underneath the bus, and I went to do my confessional. Yes, those damn Shady Apes tried to throw me underneath the bus. I'm like, Miss Thing, no.
Let's go down the list of the best hashtags that came from RuPaul's Drag Race. One of my favorite one is hashtag I killed Judy Garland.
Who did that?
It was this guy who was like, he was this older gay guy, and they were doing like makeovers, and he just like out of a sudden he said, "Oh yeah, I gave Judy Garland like access to drugs, and she OD'd the week later or something."
Oh yes, this was on like 3 episodes before the end when they had to do a makeover. I think that might have been in season I think that was in season 5.
And then hashtag
I
bed
think that was when that
bath.
happened.
Hashtag bed bath and Beyonce.
That's a nice Bed Bath and Beyonce. That's a nice one.
Hashtag eloquent.
Eloquent.
Michelle
Yes.
Visage, right?
Yeah, she got tongue tied, and so she said eloquent.
But that's fierce, though. That was fierce.
Hashtag shoulders should match the hips.
That's a shade, honey.
Hashtag black horse. Remember that one? That was who was that? That was one of the Puerto Rican drag queens that didn't know the expression beating a dead horse, or she wanted to be the black horse of the competition.
Yeah.
That wasn't Lanesha, right?
It was Lanesha Sparks, I think so. Yeah,
I think
it
so.
seems like they've gotten rid of the hashtags. Like they're not on this season.
Funny? Yes. You know why? Because half of these new girls don't know the hashtag is to be fierce about them and how to make them work for them.
Oh, so they can't even get them out of them.
I don't think that they can. I think they were probably waiting for them and they never got around to it. I'm like, honey, y'all are missing a fierce opportunity to introduce new hashtags into the world.
Yeah,
I introduce them. I introduce a few once in a while when I do my Sunday shows uptown. The funny part is I tell the crowd, I said, it is your job to remember them because they just come out of my mouth. I have CRS.
What's that?
They're like, can't remember shit.
There's a new hashtag. Can't remember
hashtag
shit.
CRS. I have hashtag CRS. And I said, your job is to remember it after I've said it, because after I've said it, I will forget it.
Now,
and so they come in there and they sit there and like take notes.
So what do you think is going to happen to All Stars? Because you guys sat through. Pork Chop was sitting there in the audience with a sad look on her face. She looked angry about it.
I don't know if maybe she was just sculpted that way, as RuPaul did with the with that meme she put up.
It was hilarious because everybody's having a good time and they cut to
Fifi.
Pork Chop and she's just like frowning.
Well, you just never know what she was
She's
frowning
just like-
at, you know? Because the way they edit things, you don't
Right.
know what it is.
No. I couldn't figure it out either, because let me tell you something. All 9 girls were phenomenally funny for that episode. Now, as I said, once the judges start to critique them, a critique can change the perception of people that are watching a TV show. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You could have been the fiercest bitch that you saw, but if somebody critiques you the wrong way and you weren't privy to what you saw, and if the people that are watching on TV were not privy to seeing the live show, you'd be like, I'll take what Michelle Visage says. I'll take what that other judge says. I'll take what RuPaul says. But it's like when I left that section, in my head, I actually humbly lived for what Phi Phi and Coco had put together. I'm not saying Alyssa's and Alaska's were not fierce or Tati's. I'm saying I physically lived for what Phi Phi and Coco put together. It was a fucking kiki. And then Coco said a line where she was walking off in the end, and we were like, "Word, bitch," you know. So
are you saying that she was
by the time
actually
it came?
she was better than the other? Like their act was better than the other ones, and was just edited not to be like that?
Put it this way. We left watching that and going, this is a tight judging. It was tight. It was as tight as the lip syncing of Alyssa and Tatiana. By the way, can we talk about how fierce Tatiana looked? I mean,
I heard rumors that she goes pretty far.
I'm not into Kai, but that bitch had me drooling in my seat, honey. I had to get out a pair of Depends and sit on that shit. She made me moist.
You're disgusting.
Okay? Listen, I know that a lot of people don't like the word moist. It's one of those words that rubs them the wrong way for some
Well, they're
strange
stupid
reason.
people.
Tati gave me listen, we all know that Alyssa will slay a dragon in one look. She will drop kick a giant with one death drop. She will do a split and turn a Jehovah's Witness into an Irish lady. We all know that. And she will always bring it. But to see Tati stay on that stage, giving you all that glamazon hair and that body and that outfit, and started going in and matching Alyssa energy for energy, which is hard to do. Alyssa is an undisputed bitch. And gave you all of that with all that hair looking so fit. That mane was standing up, honey. It was a mane that I could see RuPaul going, bitch, how dare you take one of my hairstyles and put that on your head and think you the other me? And she went through that whole choreography and they lip sync for their legacy, honey. And at the end, she goes, Tati, you're a winner, darling. And we were like, yes! And then she turned around and gave it to her. And then she turned around and gave it to her. Listen, that was called a lip sync for the legends. Not even legacy. That was a lip sync for the legends, okay? They both, legacy queens just gave you a legendary performance. Those queens are not asleep. They both did that so well. So when I came home, I had to go online and said, thank you, Alyssa, and thank you, Tatiana, for a wonderful lip syncing. I wasn't saying thank you in terms of for pushing Phi Phi off the show or anything like that. I'm saying thank you for giving us, the crowd, what we want to see. A fierce fucking lip sync. They gave us life, honey. They gave us life with that. You know, so Raja and Courtney, they did a thing and they were talking about the whole Phi Phi thing. And Courtney made a poignant remark. She said, you know, sometimes, even if you swear it's an edit, you have to learn how to pull back as an individual. Because it's like we saw on Monday where Alyssa went over to squash the whole incident. And even after Alyssa hugged her, Phi Phi had to throw in a dig at the end. It's like, girl, why? Why couldn't you just let the hug be a hug and let it be? You need to go back and watch it. She said something right at the end as though she
went and hugged her. She was so pissed off about it. She walked off.
Alyssa, listen.
Yeah.
The only thing that last week's episode proved was that Alyssa took a very high road through the whole thing. And she tried to be as welcoming as she possibly could to Phi Phi. And Phi Phi smirched her in the process. And at the end, when Phi Phi walks off the stage, that is all the world will see. Alyssa tried to hug you and you turned it down. You could have used that moment as a redemption for yourself again, regardless of the situation. It's like, listen, if I walked in a RuPaul's Drag Race tomorrow and they try to tell me we need you to turn into a black nigga bitch on stage, I'm like,
hashtag.
girl, hashtag BNG, honey. Hashtag Ru, I'm sorry. I'm not cut from that cloth. I will do the best that I can in all my challenges and I will lip sync for my legacy and life. However, I can't give you BNG because it's not in my genetics.
For? Isn't it BNB?
BNB, but BNG as well. Black nigga girl, black nigga bitch.
Oh, I see. Okay.
BNB.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of like, so it's like, we're Airbnb, honey. You know.
Airbnb.
Right. Exactly. So it's like, I can't give you BNB because I'm not cut from that cloth. It's like, you might find somebody else that have a lot of anger in them. But I'm like, honey, I'm a girl of peace, love, and I understood Alyssa's way of doing her elimination for Ginger. Alyssa is all about the performance. Her thing is this. If you slayed last week and you made a mistake the following week, there's no reason for you to go home because you made one mistake. There is more to you than one thing.
But the thing is, though, this is the thing they all agreed on. Though they all said that they would send home the person that the judges critiqued the hardest, and like that's what they were going by. Let me finish, Vivacious. Let me finish. And so, from what I understand, is when when Phi Phi sent Alyssa home, that the judges were really hard on Alyssa, and that we didn't see that in the final editing. All the girls said that. You know, Alaska and Roxy were here in Chicago, and they mentioned it. They just said, "You guys don't understand." Like they barely even said anything, but when we were on stage, it was all clear. all of the judges really disliked her and they really read her to filth. And, you know, of course, everybody loves, you know, when you compare like Phi Phi to Alyssa, people just love Alyssa, you know, and she's celebrating and has a fantastic career. Whereas Phi Phi is like, she's been hated since, you know, she told Sharon Needles to go back to Party City with a capital T in party, let me remind you. And so that's that's what we're going from and that's what we see. But, you know, we don't see all this behind the scenes stuff.
You know, it took me 6 years to realize, Mark realized this, that Party City was a meth reference. No one caught that.
Oh my God, I never knew that. Really?
I thought it was about the costume. You know, like...
Girl, no, I in my head when she said it, I actually saw Sharon Needles in Party City in my head picking
we
up
all
shit.
did.
Like, girl, I saw her at the rack picking it up. I saw her at the rack picking it up and holding up to her face, going, I could use this. Let me bring this to the checkout. That's what I saw in my head. I never see, and that's from a virgin who's never done drugs. So if you make a reference like that, honey, Vivacious has checked out the building because I never knew that was a reference to meth.
Yeah, with a capital T in the party.
I had no clue.
I want to draw attention to Monet Exchange, your sister from a different mister in New York City. She did this brilliant video where she dressed up in drag in Times Square, and this woman kind of approached her and was like, it's this beautiful exchange. And Now New Now Next is blogging about it, and I'm like, I wonder if they might be working on a project together.
No, she did it with something. She did it with a group called Street Beats. So Monet Exchange is from the house of Bob the drag queen. Mm-hmm. There's a few. Bob's house is the most peculiar house on the planet. It sees no race and it sees no gender. And it takes in people that they feel that are very unique and have a progressive recognition of the planet. Just so you know, last Thursday, after you've seen that, I don't know if you saw the other one, Monet Exchange and Keisha Carr did a Black Lives Matter tribute at their show. And if you watch it, you will actually end up crying. They did it to Beyonce's Freedom, and they started handing out flyers with the names of all the Black people that have been killed. And Keisha started crying on stage. Let me tell you something. That piece is rippling through the internet like it's a social conscious piece. And so when I saw the Monet one, I didn't know anything else to put up except for the word art, heart. A-R-T, then the word heart. H-E-A-R-T, because it was art from the heart. And the art of what Monet was doing in Times Square allowed a random person to open up their heart and show her love. Mind you, there's a whole bunch of people sitting in that area. At no point did some homophobes stand up to her and try to be like, what the fuck you doing, you silly F, or something like that. People sat there and watched it transform itself in slow motion. I'm not saying it's a sign of the times, but it was a sign of that moment. We don't know what's going to happen after November 7th, but at least we can say if we get the bad lima bean for November, at least we can say before we get the bad lima bean, one queen in the universe put out a very poignant piece of art that can open up the hearts of other people. And that would be Monet Exchange. That was a beautiful thing to watch in Times Square happen. Now, I know somebody else will probably get up and try to go and imitate it, but sweetie, here's the thing. Once something is done, let it be. Don't be a copycat.
Try telling that to all the people who copy Cooking with Drag Queens. Get in line, girls. Get in line.
Well, it's like you can copy Cooking with Drag Queens, but you'll never be these Cooking with Drag Queens.
No. It's kind of amusing. I kind of want to do a blog entry. There's so many completely like or I wouldn't call them rip-off, tribute videos. They're very sweet. They just never mention our names or where they got the idea from. But
well, we weren't the first
and we won't be the
cooking
last.
show with drag queens in it, and we certainly won't be the last.
Well, the difference between us and the shows that came in from the past was that when drag queens did cooking videos, they didn't make food that people wanted to eat. They sort of made slop in a bucket, threw the eggshells in, kind of like the Three Stooges or the Little Rascals cooking.
Right.
And I was like, hey, we're going to make a cooking video. Might as well actually make food.
It's like, darling, the difference between you and I is I can actually burn water.
Hey,
let that stick in your bonnet.
I want to do a shout out to Therapy in New York City, who gave Bianca Del Rio, Bob the Drag Queen, and Monet Exchange, and a lot of these important drag queens their break.
It is therapy. Let me tell you, the longest run. If I think the longest running queen I think was at Therapy was Jade Electra, who moved up to Canada, and then I think the second longest drag queen there was Peppermint.
Oh,
I think Peppermint was there for like 6 to 7, 8 years. And then the newer queen started after that. So Monet and Keisha and Bob are within the last 6 years. And that Therapy has been, has been the home to some very strong queen. There is something to be said for New York drag. I'm going to explain New York drag is this. New York drag is not about pageant pretty bitches. New York drag is about the queens who have delved deeply into the art of how to bring intangible things to life and spark an awareness.
And it's also about layers too, right? Because you girls don't have any room to change. So you have an outfit on and then you take it off and you end up your last number, you're in your panties.
These girls have to come with creativity from home. They don't have dressing rooms like they do in other states.
Yeah.
It's amazing how New York City clubs, New York City gay bars want drag queens to bring them a crowd, but they can't even make them a decent dressing room and go, we created this room for you.
Yeah.
Here's some lights, here's some mirrors. Just keep it clean and we'll clean up after you as well.
Well, and
it's
I
like
think
they don't do that.
Therapy also goes out of their way to have a diverse group of drag queens, where a lot of other clubs just kind of book entertainers that are similar to the clientele.
No,
I'm talking about race here,
No, it's true. There are a few other clubs that are down the street, and I won't name names. But it's like, hey, girl, so you have 9 girls in here doing Britney Spears, and why? I'm like, if you added some color in here instead of being worried about the color, you would actually realize there's a lot of strong Black performers in New York City that if given the chance, they would redefine drag in New York City as performance in terms of you need to step your pussy up if you're going to perform. But they won't get the time of day because some white girl knows how to talk and kiss ass to the owner to get herself in the door. And once she gets in the door, she only booked a cookie cutout version of herself. I'm like, sweetie, I need all you white girls to stay downtown. Please do not come to Harlem. And it's not because it's a racial thing. Boring drag needs to stay downtown. I'm trying to give diverse drag uptown. And I don't need you to come up here and corrode uptown with the bad bullshit you do downtown. And you could say, Vivacious, how dare you? That's a fucking read. Yes, it is a read. Please stay downtown. Because when you're downtown, children, with all that tired drag, guess what? That's the reason why your crowd does not tip you money for your shows. When I book individual girls from that melee of the downtown girls and bring them uptown, all those girls said to me, Vivacious, I have never been tipped this much in my life. They're like, why is that? I said, because diversity in drag makes the audience appreciate what you're doing more as an entertainer. You all can't come out singing Christina Aguilera and 900 Broadway tracks. I'm not knocking the Christina and the Broadway tracks. I'm saying you're all doing it. If we're all going to show up and do the same, there's a saying, if every day is a gray day, we wouldn't know what a sunny day looks like. So don't bring me the same thing over and over just because, well, girl, I made money from that track last week, so I'm going to do it again this week. Congratulations to you. But as an audience member, you're boring them. As an audience member, it makes them not want to even take $1 out of their pocket and give to you. And yes, there is a problem in the New York City gay community. Since New York is one of the first places that exercise a gay revolution and gay freedom, the gays who come here from other states do not feel that they need to invest financially back into the drag performers of the community that is entertaining for them. They're like, oh, bitch, please. I'm going to stand up here and be disrespectful and try to outdance you from the crowd. I'm going to look at you and be like, you need to drop off the ceiling of the building into a death drop before I give you my hard-earned dollar. Whereas you go to LA, you give them the same intensity and energy. You walk out of there with like $1,500 in tips. Meanwhile, they're only paying you $250 to do your show. So the gays in New York need to be re-breastfed on. Listen, you all walk outside. You all walk outside every day in your little, your tight pants and looking quaint and cute and cunt, walking around. But you need to understand that a drag queen's presence in public, whether day or night, is what is actively and physically fighting for your right to exist as a gay man. Because them being in drag is the first thing a straight person sees. And that straight person goes, oh my God, they do exist. What do you mean they exist? Gay people, look, it's one of them. It's a man in a dress. If you put a straight man and a gay man in the same outfit and stand them against a wall, you can't fight for any rights. For one reason, you can't tell which one is gay from a snapshot, a static picture taken in time. However, when you see a man in a dress, that man is the front line for your gay rights. Ability to exist on this planet, to be counted. Do not besmirch them and act as though they are not fighting. They are active. They are more fighting for your rights to exist as a gay person, because that presence of drag is actually starting a dialogue in a straight person's head, whether to kill it, whether to accept it, or whether to go out and talk about it with another friend. They've already started. A drag queen's presence initially starts a dialogue in a straight person's head just by them being a drag queen. Well, I worked in straight clubs for 27 years. This is what I do know. If you are not present in front of gay people straight people to let them know that gay people exist, straight people will walk around as though gays are some urban legend that really does not exist. So and that's how they come out and. Mm-hmm.
So, Vivacious, we're going to wrap this up. People can catch you doing All-Stars viewing parties every Thursday nights. Where in New York?
You can catch me Thursday nights doing RuPaul's Drag Race viewing party at Farafina Cafe and Lounge in Harlem. It's on 150th Street and 150th Street and Amsterdam Avenue. And on Sunday nights, which is tonight, you can catch me at Hogshead Tavern, which is on 143rd Street in Hamilton Place. And Drag Brunch starts October 15th. So I am now opening up my third spot up in Harlem. Drag Brunch, which is going to be on 140th Street and Amsterdam Avenue, where the gays can have brunch, a drag brunch up here, instead of having to take an Uber to go downtown to have brunch.
Oh, that's great.
So we're doing it's small steps, but they're still gigantic steps, because you have to remember, these are neighborhoods that are pro-straight. They're very entrapped in their religious backgrounds. And here comes people that are now slowly saying, we understand that the neighborhood is changing. How can we accommodate some of you? Meanwhile, other businesses are saying, we only want your money, but we don't want you to be seen. We don't want you to be visible. And we sure as hell don't want you to congregate in our establishment. We don't want to be labeled as, oh, this is a gay space. And whereas these other three spaces are saying, you can have our space because I have a more open mind. I have a more open heart. So we are beyond happy for all three establishments and their owners and their staff.
And so, make sure if you're going to have a selfie taken with Vivacious, wait till she's done singing her song.
or take the selfie before I start for the night. Y'all don't need to see me looking a little bit moist in the face.
Well, you're an athlete. I mean, you're dancing for hours on end, and it's like it's astounding.
I like to play tracks that have energy. That's why I relate to Alyssa Edwards and Latrice, the girls who bring the power numbers. We're dancing bitches. I'm not a trained dancer, but I like to dance. So I'm going to bring those numbers. I can't do no slow numbers walking around trying to pick up tips. That bores the living crap out of me. But as Alyssa would say, that's not my gig. So that's why I bring the energy numbers. And then what I do is I bring the musical theater girls with me uptown, because all these boys that are moving up here, they're all musical theater children. So my job is to educate these gays. I call them new gays. My job is to use my experience of 27 years and teach them, this is where your gay roots come from in performance. These are all the straight artists and gay artists who used their presence as entertainers and hired other gay people in their ranks to allow gays to be visible on the planet. So my job is to use the songs that I perform, because I'm like, girl, I don't know that track. I said, no, but this was performed by Inaya Day. This was performed by Christine W. This was performed by this straight artist back then who had 9 gay backup dancers, who then had a gay makeup artist who was beating her face, and she always brought him on stage and give him credit. You know, these were people who were then going around and using their tracks to play at gay pride places, and also performing their tracks in straight clubs and bringing their gay entourage with them to open the doors of people's minds to go, listen, we're not on this planet individually. We're not just walking a course on our own. There are individuals of the opposition of who we are that when we work synergistically together brings a better result for the planet. I'm going to tell you something that I realized the other day. I believe that the reason why a lot of people cannot fathom the concept of gays is because we break every single mold on the planet. Yes, we have our own problems in our own community, but on a bigger scale, think about this. Gays are not one race. They're every race combined into one. That scares a lot of people because everybody likes to put everything in a box. These are the whites, these are the blacks, these are the Chinese, these are the Mexicans, these are the Spanish people. But when you're gay, a gay man can love a Spanish person, a Chinese, a Japanese, a Mexican, a black. And it messes with other people's psyche. But it's not only that. Gays would rather overlook things and say, you know what? I see you over there trying to use this person's past of being a rent boy and try to use that to drag him down into the muds. And we'd be like, oh, girl, please let it go.
We are one race, the human race.
But I feel like,
say we all.
And I do.
So say we all.
Little Battlestar Galactica reference for you there. But I feel though too is like gay becomes like more quote unquote normal, and these kids aren't raised the same way that we are. That they'll pick up some of those heteronormative behaviors and they
do because and the sad part is even with the Finding Prince Charming. I said, hey, gays, it is not your job to judge him for being a rent boy in the past. Your job is to accept him. We are not straight people. It is not our job to bring someone down. It doesn't matter how we get here as long as we are here. That's all that matters. I don't care if you worked in a glory hole. If that's what it took for you to pay your bills, girl, good for you. Are you here now? Yes. Because guess what? Other people can't even get the ability to get to this point. There are so many younger transgendered people that have tried to go online and be a very positive influence. And then you hear, oh, this one who was doing X, Y, and Z online trying to raise awareness and love has now committed suicide because they were getting so much hate mail and hatred from people online. It's like there are 2 things in life sometimes you have to learn to do. Do not read the comments. Do not read the comments.
Well, if you don't read them, who's going to read them?
Well, you know what? Let the people who want to be nitpicking haters, let them read it.
Well, I want to tell you something about comments, and I think this is smart. I think it was Scientific America on their news articles.
Scientific American on their news articles that they put on their blog. They used to have comments, and they decided they were going to get rid of comments 100% completely because they would have this, scientific research. They would present it, people would read it. But then if they read like one comment that goes against what all this research says, people are less likely to believe the research because, hey, one person commented negatively about this. And so even though that negative comment absolutely has no basis in science, so they're like, you know what? We don't need to give these anti-research, anti-intellectual people any kind of platform. It doesn't make any sense for what we do.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So even on my social media, I put up a picture 2 weeks ago of me performing, and I think I was doing She Works Hard for the Money. And some queen goes, that's exactly where she belongs, at the door. Somebody throw that bitch out. Honey, yes, you can be that negative queen, but guess what, girl? I'm the person who allows you to be a penis. You get one chance to ejaculate. Once you're done, I clean it up.
And I grab your nuts and I pull them off. And
no, honey. You get one chance to make one negative comment in my universe. I hit block, I hit ban, and I hit delete. Try to show up on my social media next week, sweet lips. Oh, that's right. The administrator told you don't exist in my world anymore. And you could try to tag me as much as you want, honey, but it'll never happen. Children of the internet, come correct or get blocked. I'm an old queen, and I'm a 13-year-old. I have 13 years of black belt martial arts underneath my belt. I'm not afraid to be your mother and slap you across your lips. I'm that type of queen. And if your mama come and said that I slapped you, she might get one too, because she should have trained you. She should have raised you better. So the next time you want to be an internet bully, think of me as a black big ass Medea bitch who gonna let you come correct. Officially.
Vivacious, you are a national treasure. They should put you in an institution.
In an institution, honey. Just wrap me in the white bandages. I don't have nothing against white men either. Hello, how y'all doing out there? And put me in a room with a padded room. No, I hunt white men for a living.
We're their fans.
I do.
I tell all the drag queens out there is that because they're like, I'm not going to sleep with a fan, and then I'm like, listen, you're not making a lot of money out of this, so get the dick that you want. Leverage what life gives you and turn it into a delicious tall glass of iced tea and lemonade.
Well, you know what's funny? I've been celibate for 5 years.
Are you celibate right now?
Yes,
I mean, at this moment.
5 years.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Honey, I am not even having a divinal moment. You remember divinal? I touch myself. I'm not even doing that.
What?
That can't be good for you.
That's not you, girl. You gotta get that poison out.
Yeah, flush it.
No. I mean, there is no man in the room for me to touch up, girl. Please. I believe that this is what I've noticed a long time ago in life. After you have an orgasm, you have a stronger epiphany. Oh. So I'm making sure that I have as much orgasms as I can, so I never make bad choices in life.
Yeah, we make, when we're chasing dick, we make some real bad choices sometimes.
Yes, bitch. So I make sure that I never get to that point. So I cleanse my universe, so to speak. I rotate my own tires, and then I see things differently. And then in the words of Tony Braxton, he wasn't man enough for me.
Vivacious, we love you.
Yes,
go rub one out before your gig.
Yes.
Oh, no, girl. I don't need to do that. I'm here to pour all of that energy into my show, honey. I got to give these, as RuPaul says, honey, I got to go give these kids life. Give them life, mama.
You know, when I used to do a drag show here in Chicago, like afterwards, I would, when I was taking a hot shower, I usually would rub one out because it was like...
Nobody needs to know that.
It was like a release.
I don't get it with this whole drag jargon. It's like you want to give kids life, but then you want to slay them. It's like, what are you raising, like chickens? And it's crazy.
Thanks for the dad joke.
It's like, are y'all all dragon slayers? I'm convinced that our drag lingo would work so fierce in the medieval era.
It is very medieval.
Let me get medieval on your drag ass.
Could you imagine if all these gays were dressed up in medieval costumes, walking around back then, just using all these words? We would probably fit right in.
Well, they actually say, during medieval times that there was a little more gender bending kind of stuff going on. And then it wasn't until the Renaissance when people were looking at science that they were like, that these hard lines between masculine and feminism started getting drawn. And that before, a boy could just kind of like wear a dress and people were like, that's just the way he is. But once people got into the science, they're just like, men must be like this, women must be like that.
Well, it's not only that. Remember that evil Christian lady many years ago that started the gay backlash towards the gays? That one, she sang that song on national TV in front of all of America, and then she made that speech. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
She was the one that's. I'm happy she is, and I say that with no remorse.
Alive.
No, she's dead.
Phyllis Schlafly just died,
or maybe it was her husband died.
She made that statement, and then the following week was when. She needs to exit and take. She needs to exit and take. What's that old man, Oral Roberts? No, not him. What's that one that's always talking a lot of shit?
Oral Bottom Roberts.
No. There's a pastor that's always saying some crazy shit about the gays that we do X, Y, and Z and all this
Pat
shit.
Robertson.
He's an old. Is it? No, not Pat Roberts. Is it Pat Roberts?
He's one of them. That motherfucker won't die. He has coconut oil every day to keep him healthy.
If you harvest the power of the coconut, it'll keep you alive for years to come.
Well, you know what? My mother follows all those people, and that's quite sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does. She believes them like their word is golden. And I'm like, well, if you're going to follow them, I'm just going to go listen to Methuselah and the devil. I'll take the opposite of whatever you're having, bitch. That's how I am in life.
Vivacious, it's a pleasure talking to you, sweetie.
It was always a pleasure talking to you guys. And Phi Phi, girl, hang strong. And for all you little children out there that are trying to, I was like, it's really sad when you find the gay community making negative statements about another gay person. Honey, there's already enough billions of people out there that want to make us do death drops off of buildings. Don't increase the numbers. Show love. As RuPaul would say, everybody say love, but just don't say it, honey. Show it and do it.
That's right. Can I get an amen up in here?
Amen.
And you can show love. An amen up in here?
And you can show love to this podcast by becoming a Plus subscriber, and you can do that at feastoffun.com/plus because that's the best way to support the show. Or maybe you want to show some love by making a one-time donation. You can do that at feastoffun.com/donate. And we have fantastic t-shirts for sale at our store, feastoffun.com/store. Get your I'm not an evil queen, I just got a bad edit t-shirt at our store today.
And remember, guys, if you can't shop at Feast of Fun for yourself, how are you going to get your friends a wonderful Halloween or Christmas or Hanukkah, Ramadan, Tet, Chinese New Year present? There's a lot of holidays coming up, and there's some amazing t-shirts and designs. Every t-shirt you buy helps to support this podcast that we couldn't do without your support, and we thank you guys so much for doing this. Vivacious lives in New York City. Check her out on social media, Vivacious NYC. Is that right, Vivacious? Are you still there?
Yes, Vivacious. Yes, Vivacious NYC. Yes,
Vivacious NYC, honey. If you are anywhere near this amazing queen, you owe it to yourself. If you don't, as Chris Crocker says, if you don't treat yourself, you cheat yourself.
That's right.
Go see Vivacious this week and go get some tea. Fill up your glass with a nice tall glass of cool, refreshing tea from Vivacious and enjoy yourself.
She will give you life, and then she will kill you.
Slay you. She will slay you.
Yes, children, I will let you know what's... Yes, children, I will let you know what's the Tijuana.
Thanks, Vivacious.
Bye, girl.
Thank you, darlings. Smooches.
Smooches to you.
Tomorrow on the podcast, we're going to be talking to James Mansfield about straight men, or straight identifying men, because, those lines
you never know.
Get a little blurry when you blur the other lines, like your gender lines. We're going to be talking about straight guys who, in the history of drag, who have become successful drag queens. And will we be seeing a heterosexual or bisexual identifying man on RuPaul's Drag Race? I think we probably have. We just never were drawn attention to it, I don't
know. A straight guy on Drag Race. They did some makeovers for some straight guys, but those guys didn't go on to be performers as far as I know. And I don't think none of those queens identify as straight, huh? No. No.
And so we got some amazing shows this week. And so stick around.
Bye-bye.